All right. Hello, inventors and entrepreneurs. My name is Courtney Laschkewitsch. I'm the managing director here at Inventors Groups of America, and welcome to Inventors Online. Thank you, all humans and pets, for joining us tonight. IGA was founded in 2017 by Stephen Key and Andrew Krause. IGA's goal is to teach individuals how to best commercialize their product ideas, as well as strengthen and support inventor groups throughout the nation. We have a directory of local and regional inventor groups on our website, whom we meet with every month. And if you're located near one, we highly encourage you to join. We would love to hear your name and what state or country you are from. So go on over right now, open up that chat box and let us know. Of course, please do not disclose anything that is confidential and not already publicly available. Of course, our meeting is being recorded and will be harnessed on our website and YouTube channel soon after. Of course, everyone feel free to change your name in the participants panel. Choose to be in gallery mode so you can see everyone except for right now. And though it is not required, we would love for you to turn on your video so we can see you and your pets. Now, before we get into this, I'm going to go ahead and remove my spotlight. You guys can go ahead and go back to gallery mode. Now, I'd love to see a wave of hands if this is your very first Inventors Online. If it is, go ahead and give a wave. All right, we got some people. Hello, Peter. Hello. Excellent. Wonderful. So glad to see you guys all here and welcome to your very first Inventors Online. So glad to have you guys a part of the community. Of course, today our successful and professional pet inventor guest speaker will be talking about how to break into the pet industry and how you can become a professional inventor. Before we start, as promised, we will be featuring 3 pets from our audience who sent in photos to us on our social media. So let's go ahead and take a look at who those 3 people are and, shall I say, animals. We've got Willow and Joe here. Little kitty. Joe, I hope you're here tonight. We also have Luna and Desiree. Thank you so much for your photos here. And then, of course, we have Trixie and Rose, who has a beautiful story that she posted to us in our comments on social media. Feel free, everyone, to check that out. And then just one more, a little pet here that we have. Mike Van Horst sent in his alligator pet. Apparently, he made this pool or environment to have his pet alligator in. So I'm not sure if you're here tonight, Mike, but we would love to hear that story and if you still have them. Thanks for sending that one in as well. Pretty good pet to have, I would have to say. Of course, everyone else, thank you so much for going ahead and sending in your wonderful pets. We really appreciate that. Of course, because everyone did send in a lot of different pets. Instead of giving the pet list just to 3 people, we're going to go ahead and let everyone have the 15 list of companies looking for ideas. So with that said, it is up on our website. You can go ahead and log in, go to Inventors Online under the Members tab and scroll down. And it is right there for you guys to take a look at. So anyone can go ahead and grab that. And then, of course, without further ado, let me introduce our speaker of the night. To be successful at something, you need to surround yourself with experts in the field who are consistently in the game. With 9 years of experience in the toy industry and 17 in the pet industry, she has licensed over 50 of her ideas and has worked with more than a dozen major pet manufacturers, with 5 product lines currently in the market and 2 more that just got licensed, gracing us with her presence tonight. Let's all give it up for professional inventor Amanda Hutton.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you so much, Amanda, for coming tonight. We really appreciate you just being able to speak with us. Absolutely. So with that said, we will have a good amount of time to be able to get through some questions. So please go ahead and type in your questions early in the chat box right now. We'll do a Q&A session. Of course, we will unmute you to go ahead and ask that question at that time. And of course, as usual, please be respectful of our speaker by keeping your questions on topic and timely. Of course, when muted, please only ask one question to let others ask their questions as well. So now that all of that is out of the way, Stephen, would you like to just go ahead and start?
Well, thank you very much, Courtney and Amanda. Thank you very much for coming on. My father said to me years and years ago, if you want to learn to do something, find someone that's doing exactly what you want to do and listen and just suck all that information out of that person, because that's the best way
Good advice.
to learn. And Amanda and I were talking about when I first started out, I had a mentor, Amanda, and you've had one too. Is that correct?
Yes. And that's extremely helpful. To, like you said, like your father said, just guided me to what I needed, where I needed to get more information, books to read by inventors, anywhere I could, I would read about how to break in to the business. And I started in the toy industry back in the early mid 90s. So, and it was very difficult to break in, and it did take me years. And in fact, the first product I had, I never even licensed, which I still think was one of my best ones, but it just, it probably could have been better. I tried to improve it as I learned more about pitching and what the products should look like. But I still never got that first one licensed, but luckily I had many more ideas, and persistence is key. I just kept at it and going to the shows. I would always go every year to Toy Fair.
Okay. Before we dive into the pet industry, let's talk about the toy industry for just a minute. You were in there for 7 years, what Courtney said, and then you jumped over to pet. Is there a similarity between the two, and was it easy to jump over?
Actually, I was in the toy industry for a little. I was in for almost 10 years. And yeah, actually, the reason I got into the pet industry was reading Playthings, the industry magazine. In the back of it, there was an ad for Inventors. Hey, have you ever thought about designing in the pet industry? And I thought, wow, I don't have kids and I've always had lots of pets. So it's like, why haven't I done this yet? So I immediately responded to the ad, and that's been one of my best clients ever since.
Okay. So is it the same? I mean, do you have
Yes,
to
it's
protect the same or pitch it
very
the same?
similar. It's really very similar. I found that, I don't know, the pet industry, people were just a little friendlier, honestly. And at the time, what was happening with the toy industry is, and it's easier to break into smaller to medium-sized companies than with the big guys. But the problem was, as a few years went on, all the big guys kept buying up all the littler companies. So it was getting harder and harder. Unfortunately, that's happening now in the pet industry too. But luckily, there's still, I still have my core clients. But I do feel that it is very similar, because you're still doing your sell sheets, you're still doing, the same, you always present, pitch the same way, pretty much. So it's, the only difference, honestly, I see is that pets were friendlier. Honest to goodness.
Who doesn't love their pets?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What I'm
Sorry.
curious about, and I think a lot of people are going to wonder, I want to be in the pet industry. It's something I'm passionate about. What's the first thing I should do?
That's a very good question. Well, first you need to target whatever product you have, you need to target what companies. Obviously, you need to find out if those companies are inventor-friendly. I mean, some just do not take outside ideas. So those would be the first thing. That would be the first thing and that's the first thing I do. Obviously, I try to go to my core clients, but if I develop a product that I like and believe in and it doesn't fit with them, then I find new ones. So definitely targeting the right company is important.
The thing that I think is really interesting, I think a lot of people are really going to love this advice. Sometimes when they have an idea, they want to send it to all the companies. You seem to find a certain group that you like to work with, they know you, and you call them clients, but it's not this big big list. It's a fairly
Yeah.
small list. Is that
Oh,
true?
yeah, no, it is. It is. I would say, 10, roughly 10. So, but it does grow. And sometimes, the ones that I've worked with for years, I might not have something with them for a while. And then I have new ones. I just licensed 2 new ones, and they'll be launching at Super Zoo next month, which I'm excited about. And these are 2 brand new clients I've never worked with. And
Okay.
they're also, it's funny because one in particular is like, well, you're going to really like working with us. So we want to see all your stuff first.
Of
So,
course.
which,
Of course.
a lot of people do that. So you kind of have to say, yeah, okay, of course you're first.
Okay, wonderful. I think the next question people have is, how much protection do I need to do first? Can I file a PPA or maybe a design patent? Should I ask the company what's important to them? What's the best approach?
I always do a PPA because it's very reasonable, and you can do it yourself. You do not need a lawyer. And honestly, I've only on my own gotten 3 patents in my entire career. Most of the time, uh, the client will do it, the licensee. So
Okay.
I get the provisional, and then if it's something I really feel we really need to protect and they won't do it, then I've gone ahead and gotten it myself. But most of the time they pursue it. And
Okay.
and I do get copyrights on, because they're, like you said, design patent. There's certain things that you cannot patent. I do a lot of plush, so I do copyrights on those, and sometimes design patents.
Now, I know a lot of inventors come up with really great names for their product ideas. Should they go ahead
Yes.
and trademark them? Is that a smart thing to do? What do you do?
Honestly, I've only trademarked 1 product name, or actually, no, I'm sorry, 2. One was back in the years ago in the toy industry, because I thought there's just no other name for this game, and which ended up being true. I've recently designed something, and again, it's all about the name. So I'm trademarking that as well. But otherwise, honestly, the companies have always changed the names.
Okay.
So whatever I come up with, they change. So I don't really, honestly, it's not important to me. If they want to change it, that's fine.
Okay. So let's say, staying on that topic for just a minute, you
Mhm.
license an idea to a company, they change the name, and for some reason it doesn't do as well, or they give it back. Do you get the name too to relicense it because they built a brand, or how does that work?
Yeah, usually my contracts, one thing I like to have, especially with patents, I always have the rights revert back to me. Um, I've only relicensed a couple of products, honestly, but, and I have not kept the name, just because, honestly, and I'll make some changes to it, because if I'm relicensing something, most likely it's because it stopped selling. So I need to make changes to it.
Okay.
And then I don't want that name associated. I want to put a new name on it. So it's all repackaged and
Yeah.
like a new product.
Okay. Another question I think a lot of us have is, I've got this great idea, I have this vision, but let's say I'm not great at building prototypes, right? And maybe I can, but maybe it's expensive. And what do I do if that's not my expertise? Do I have to build a prototype? Can I sew a cell sheet, or do I have to actually make one?
I always find that if you're not going to do a sell sheet, 3D models, if you can do that kind of presentation, that's a great way. You always want to try to have as finished a product as possible. And thank goodness for Fiverr, because my sketching, it's okay, but I've found way better on Fiverr, and I have a great sketcher, I've got a great modeler, and then I do a 3D print. So, I've in the beginning, I was making my own prototypes, but it's so much better now because I'm able to have really, truly nice finished looking
Okay.
products.
There's another topic I want to dive in just a little bit here. Do you ever show that client other similar products that are out there and why yours is different?
Yeah, I usually always mention that when I'm pitching. Like, okay, I know this is similar to, say, this product over here, but yeah, here's why this is better. It's either a new material, it's tougher.
Okay.
Uh,
All right.
so yeah, there's always room for improvement. I say.
Okay. I'm going to ask a couple more, but then I want to really open it up because I want these type of networking is really about the audience, and I want them to ask their questions because I think I can hit upon a few of them, but I'm sure a lot of them I'm not going to be asking. So the other question I have is you have a small group of clients. I love that you call them clients. You know their product line extremely well, so you design for them, you submit to them, you build a relationship, you like them. Sometimes you build a prototype to get some interest. You know, the more you can do, the better. That makes perfect sense. So when it comes to the licensing agreements, okay, do you do all the negotiation yourself? Because you've done it so many times, you probably know all the terms. Do you do it yourself?
I do it myself because I've had so many contracts over the years. I know exactly what I want in.
Okay.
I have about 12 different points that I really want in the contract.
Okay.
And I can pretty much review. I review and do everything. I don't need a lawyer anymore. I really
Okay.
don't.
Is there one
Love it.
particular issue that you won't budge on? Okay. Is there like this one thing that's I'm going to walk away. If I don't get this, I'm walking away. Is there one of those things?
Usually the minimum amount per year.
Okay.
So minimum royalty is a big one. And nowadays, because retailers are squeezing manufacturers more and more, they want to make more profit. So naturally that squeeze comes down to me, and the industry standard is 5%. And many companies now are, well, will you take 3.5? No, I won't, because you really need that 5. You really need 5%, because sometimes a product, even if it's a moderate success, you're not going to make a killing. You really need that 5%. Now, I'm willing to say sometimes I will take maybe 3.5, 4 if all extensions are immediately bumped up to 5, and it's generally for a short time, maybe like 6 months. So
Okay.
if I'm really trying to license something to a particular company, because I know they'll do a good job, I might do that, but it's rare.
Okay, I've got one question and I'm going to hand it off to Courtney because Courtney had sent me this question. I really love it. All right, everybody, you got the deal. You built the prototype. You filed a PPA. They took it. You licensed it. You're happy. What do you do now? Do you keep on inventing? Do you help them sell more by being on social media? Do you do press releases? Do you actually get more involved or you completely walk away? What do you do?
Majority of the time, I would say about 75% of the time, I license it and that's done. And then they do their own extensions, but like the product I have with Chuck, the treads, that we design literally every single character. Yep, I've got one. And we have treats. Yeah. And we have designed all of these from start to finish. So we are extremely involved in that particular line, and we're working on like half a dozen new characters right now. So that takes a lot of time. And there is one other product that I have, the Push and Pop. I'm actually involved. I've hired a social media marketing guy on that to push that. So I do that, yes, but it's rare.
Okay. All right, Courtney, that's it for me.
All
so
right.
I'm going to hand it back to you.
You got it. We've got lots of questions here. And before we get into them, actually, Margaret Plumley mentioned a really great point, which is, would you just real briefly for like a couple minutes just discuss what your products are, if you can like hold them up or just tell what you've licensed?
Yep, I've got treads, which this is the little gorilla. And let me grab my others over here. And this is the small gator, the mini gator. And these are the large guys, believe it or not, these are the originals. This is new packaging. They repackaged just about a year and a half ago. And this was the original packaging. So we're always evolving, always. And I like the new packaging though. This guy, his little header tag fell off, but this is even in a new color now.
I love the smell.
I know. It does have baking soda. So this is a product that's actually unique because it's double licensed, because the company Fetch for Pets licensed the product from us, but then they have the Arm & Hammer license as well. And so from the success of this, in fact, with all these toys, they're on Amazon, Chewy. You can find them in many stores, Target, Home Goods. But we're very excited. We just went over 21,000 reviews on Amazon for the treads. And the large original Kong is at 50, but as Chuck and I say, well, they've been on the market for many decades, and Amazon for 20 years. We've only been on 4, so I think we're doing pretty well. And so we've expanded to treats, and we have a larger size too. They just put out a 40-piece value size canister for those, and we're actually coming out with another treat. It's not going to be ready for Super Zoo, but it will launch at Global, and hopefully we'll all be there at Global. This is another product mine, the Push and Pop, which is a great toy. It's a treat dispenser / toy. You fill it and the pets push it around and the treats pop out. And this is one I'm marketing, that I'm having a guy do a lot of videos on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. And so that's slowly gaining momentum. And my cat actually even likes it. The company was marketing to cats. And I thought, I don't know if cats are really going to use it. So, well, I took one out and filled it with his favorite treats. And sure enough, it took about a week, but he finally, once he got it and he loves it. And it's great because it's a slow feeder. You know, he'll get maybe 6, 7 treats and be like, all right, that's enough work. And so it's great. And for dogs as well. Dogs, it's easier because they can push it and they'll pop out. Cats need to push it along with their head. But it's great because it is, it's fun to watch, and it's a slow feeder. So it's, it really is a great product, I think. And this is a plush product that I have out called Stretchies, with the same company that does Push and Pop. And the arms stretch. Believe it or not, these are luggage straps, old luggage straps. That's where I got the idea from. So you never know where ideas are going to come from. But yeah, this has been on the market for years, and it's still making money. So they keep putting it out, and they have holiday versions, which that's the nice thing with plush. You always get holiday versions, and sometimes that'll make more money than the original. I think these guys, the originals, are still doing better. But I had one product that, the holiday versions, they dropped the originals and kept going with the holiday versions for years. So you just never know what's going to happen.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Now, I can't say anything about, unfortunately, the new products yet. I got to wait till those are launched.
Absolutely. Very soon.
Yay.
Well, with that said, we've got lots of questions from our audience.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and start with Colin's question in relation to mentors. Colin, I'm going to go ahead and ask to unmute you. You can go ahead and ask that.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. A lot of good
Thank
info.
you.
So yeah, I read Stephen's great book, and then the David Pressman. So I wrote my own patent, and I'm just looking for somebody. I'm contacted a company, and they're kind of prototyping it, maybe license, and then I'm thinking about maybe venturing it myself. I'm not sure, but I'm just wondering how do you go about finding a good mentor?
That's a hard question to answer because I just happened to look into it. I just kept making phone calls and talking to people. And I should actually say I had two mentors. One was an agent and he helped me out with, I had one, at the time I just had one product. So he kind of guided me into what companies are looking for, you know, how you have to present and pitch. He's turned me on to Richard Levy has a book, who's a great toy inventor, and he has a book out, or it came out 30 plus years ago, and I read that, and that had a tremendous amount of information in it. And then I met someone else who actually was working for a toy company, and I never licensed to him. He was with Tyco, but we just hit it off and became friends. And he also guided me. And he now is actually in the pet industry. So we've been friends for 25 plus years.
Yeah, I guess you never know how you're gonna run into the people who are helping you out.
Yeah, you just got to keep putting yourself out there, just networking as much as possible. And as I said, I recommend always going to shows because, you know, even though my next show in Vegas next month is probably not going to be what it normally is, but it's still good to see people and connect with new companies. So that's my goal, and hopefully get more ideas. I always get ideas too when I go to shows.
Yeah, I'm just doing this the first time. It's kind of, you know, being in a bubble and not wanting to talk to anyone. And
I know you're where I was the same way when I started out, but you know, if you don't get out there, you'll never license it. But I find that, you know, if you, like I said, if you do a provisional, you at least you feel like you have that little bit of protection, and you know, then you can get out and just start talking people and meeting people. And not everybody is going to be friendly. I mean, there are many companies that do not take outside designs, and that's fine. I'm like, okay, great, just let me know and I won't bother you again. So move on to the next one. But I really do feel like face-to-face is always good. In the beginning, I had to do a lot of cold calling, which is not my favorite thing. But you know, if you want to get something licensed, I had to do it. I had to get over that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Colin, for your question. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Let's go ahead and go on to the next question here. Let's try to get through as many questions as possible. Our next question here is from Wolfie Rudolph. You asked a couple questions. Your first question was about umbrella organization. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, and you can go ahead and ask that question.
Oops.
Hi there.
Oh, there it is.
All right. So what was my question? Is there something like an umbrella organization for the pet industry? Like our local Chamber of Commerce has, you know, a list of whatever local company exists. And I'm thinking just about anybody has an association, you know, even the craziest ones exist. Would you be able to give us something, or would they, first of all, would they have something like a publicly available directory of all their members? And would you know where to go find something like that?
Yes, the industry magazines, Pet Business, I believe they usually publish a directory. I might be confusing it with one though that you get at the shows, because they always have a list of, you know, all the manufacturers that are there. But I'm pretty sure, I mean, this is obviously just for pet industry, but the toy industry I know had one as well. They actually had an official toy manufacturer directory. I don't think the pet industry does that, but I believe you can get it through, I'm pretty sure it's Pet Business. There are three: Pet Business, Pet Age, and Pet Product News. But I'm pretty sure it's Pet Business.
Great. All right. Thank you so much, Wolfie. Really appreciate it.
Okay, it will remind me of my second question.
I actually don't have your second question written down, so we'll get through some other questions, and if we got some time, I'll ping you back and bring up your other question.
Okay, cool.
All right, and just real quickly, can you guys raise your hand if you are going to Super Zoo? Everyone can go back to gallery if you want to. Raise your hand if you are going to the Super Zoo trade show. I saw a fair amount of people mention that they are going. I currently see no raised hands, so I'm guessing everyone. Okay, we got Sharon, Cheatham, Eric. All right, we got some people here. Okay, very cool. That's awesome. We've got our next question here from, let's see, where are we? From Daryl. Daryl, you asked a bunch of questions. I am referring to the question in relation to finding companies in different years, 2020, 2021. Daryl, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. You can go ahead and just real briefly ask that question so we can get to everyone here.
Hi, Amanda. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Great to hear you speak. Quick question. I'm just wondering, have you seen an increase? Can you hear me or no?
No, I see you now.
Can you hear?
Yes.
Have you seen licensing deals increase more from 2000 to 2010 to 2021 with the open innovation movement? When I began, all these companies had the not invented here policy, the no unsolicited idea policy, and it drove me nuts. And I love Stephen Key and Invent Right for helping to pioneer the open innovation movement more. But I'm wondering, are you finding companies more friendly? And when you run into that not invented here policy or no unsolicited idea policy, do you keep going and trying to persuade them to see if there's any other person you could reach out to at the company, or you kind of just stop there? And I'd love to know your process, like do you do a lot of cold calling? Have you found that works best? Emailing or just going to shows? That in a nutshell.
Thanks, Daryl.
Okay. Let's see. So going to shows, obviously I'm huge for going to the shows because like the previous gentleman's questions, you can really start targeting other companies because there's always a product or two that I haven't found a home for. So I'm always looking for new. And recently I've broken into the treat market. So I've come up with other ideas. The treads, that was my first treat, but that came from a toy. And so I've got many new companies that I've been talking to try to license another treat that I've worked on. And I've got another product that won't be ready till probably global. But yeah, so I love going to the shows because I can target many more people. And to get back to your earlier question, if they say no to me, because I always go pretty much right to the top. If that person isn't there, I'll hopefully be talking to the second or third. But usually I like to go right to the top because then I know, okay, this is it. If they're not interested, if they do not, like you say, not invented here, then I just move on. I don't bother because it's a waste of time. I'd rather get someone that's excited about working.
Amanda, have you seen, I think this is really a good question, Daryl, and thank you for asking. Has open innovation, is it growing or slowing down?
Yes. I do think it's growing. I think companies are realizing more and more that so many of the best ideas come from outsiders.
Yeah. Great question, Daryl. Thank you very much.
Juan had a quick question. I'm just going to go ahead and ask. Juan's question was, are you happy with what you have accomplished?
Ooh, I am. Yeah. There's still more to do, but but yeah, no, I am very happy with what I've accomplished. Yes.
Great. I thought that was a great question to ask, especially just to reflect and just 50 is a big number, so I think it's definitely something to be proud of for sure.
They weren't all that great though, some only lasted a year or so, but
absolutely.
But the successes definitely make up for that.
That's great. We have another really good question here from Breton Davis. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, Breton, about pet food. Fantastic question. You can go ahead and unmute yourself. Maybe.
Yeah. Good morning, Amanda. How are you?
Good morning, or good evening at my time.
Yeah, sorry, good morning. I'm over in Perth, Western Australia, so up early to soak up all of your wisdom. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
So I'm only new to the process. I'm sort of halfway through the coaching process with Stephen and Andrew and the gurus at Invent Right, which are very enjoyable. Always had lots of animals and pets ourselves, but have never really, or hadn't really thought about the pet industry until I saw your LinkedIn comments and then joined in here. And I haven't put a lot of energy into the thought process yet, but the first one that I've keep coming up with is a product in the pet food industry. Given the big differences and costs involved in the manufacturing processes, is the pet food industry completely separate to the industries that you're dabbling in? Oh, sorry, not dabbling in, that you're immersed in.
Yes. No, it is. It's a whole new category. So, and because of that, that's why I'm having to find a whole new set of clients, because most of the ones that I've been dealing with for years are pretty much just toy oriented. I mean, they might come out with, one or two, just trying to get their feet wet. But for the most part, they're not food manufacturers, they're toy manufacturers. So I have had to literally like breaking into almost a new industry in itself.
Okay, so there's no crossover that you can share.
Well, the only good thing, like I said, I was able to get a product on the market through the treads that had already been established. So now I can say I've got treats on the market. So when you have a product on the market and it actually has an Amazon choice tag on it, so that certainly helps. And so you can lead, that's what I always do, is lead with that, because it is hard getting started for sure, because most companies are like, here's like another one of those crazy inventors. And it's like, no, I've been doing this for years. These are the products I have. These are the companies I've dealt with. So that certainly helps. And I'm using that with my treads treats that are on the market to try to hopefully sell. But there's one other trait I've been trying for 2 years, but I'm not giving up because I believe in it. So, and it is protected. That's one that I did actually file a patent on because it's so unique.
Amanda, I have a question I saw in the chat. It relates to this, what you just said. If you keep on pitching a product and you really believe in it, but no one sees your vision, are you tempted to try to venture it yourself, or do you completely stay away from that world?
I've thought about it, but I've never done it because it would take so much time. You'd be so focused, and you would have to be to make it successful. That would take away from designing all my other stuff, and I really do love to create and see an idea go to prototype, and then from all the work into the prototyping to eventually seeing it hopefully licensed and on the market. So I really love that whole process. And if I decided, I guess if I just had one product then and I believed in it, I'd probably do that. But luckily I just kept thinking of more and more when I started out and thought, I really kind of like this. And I majored in biology, not business or design or any of that. So again, you never know where life's going to take you.
Here's another question. I believe that in some industries, going to the top might be a little difficult, right? But the pet industry seems a little bit more friendlier. That's what a little bit smaller. So people are asking, going to the top, how hard is that? Do you see the president at the show? How hard is to get to that person? Is it easier in the pet industry than maybe the toy industry or is another industry?
I think it is a little bit. I think the pet industry is a little more friendly, inventor-friendly. And I just walk up and I've done my research. I know who, the top people are. And I just say, where's Mr. or Ms. So-and-so, may I speak to them, or I'll leave a card if they're busy, because obviously they are there to sell. But I'll just leave a card and I'll just keep coming around. Usually maybe the last day of the show, it's easier, or late of the second, because they've already met with their, big customers.
Good
but
tip.
I just go right in.
Hey, another question that came in, I thought this was fascinating. When you file that PPA, let's say, do you do a quick and dirty, fast one just to get on the record? Do you do a lot of homework or prior art searching? How much time do you really spend on that?
Well, I always, the first thing I do when I get an idea is research it. And I also have so many friends and family who are like, oh, I got this great idea for you. And I'm like, did you do your research? Yeah. And then I'll Google and I'll be like, no, you didn't. I found something that's almost exactly like that in like 2 seconds. So I do all the research first.
Okay.
And then if I do think, okay, yeah, this is worth pursuing. And then once I develop it, yeah, I spend a fair amount of time on the PPA because I think if I'm ever going to patent it, the better your PPA is, the easier the patent is and cheaper.
Okay. So what happens if you file the PPA, you've got 1 year, you're pitching it, you can't quite tip it over, you're getting close, you made some changes, they're giving you feedback, everything's great, but that the non-provisional time is coming. What do you do?
Sometimes I refile.
Okay.
If I haven't licensed it, I'll refile. Obviously, you lose your original date.
Okay.
So you're hoping that, I mean, I do a little bit of, again, research to see if anything is similar,
Okay.
and I'll refile.
Got it. Someone else asked, how long does it take? All right. I mean,
You mean from conception to market?
Well, let's say pitching. Let's say you come up with an idea, you start pitching it to your clients, your 10 clients. They get back to you within a week, 2 weeks, a month? What is that process?
I'm not a really patient person, so like all my patience has been used up in this business because it's a major waiting game. I mean, it's better than I have to say, it's better than it used to be. But yeah, it can be months. I mean, that you wait to hear back from companies. But as an old partner described me, I'm like the little dog that grabs onto your ankle and won't let go. So I'll just keep calling until they finally, I think, I better take this call because she's not going to stop calling me.
All right, great one. Here's another one real quick. People are so concerned with NDAs. I mean,
Yes.
it's just like, and I hear this all the time. And I wonder, where are people getting this? I know if you file a PPA, do you worry about an NDA?
It's just that one little extra bit of protection, protects the company, protects you. I mean, I don't sign them anymore with obviously people that I've worked with, but with a new company, yeah, I usually do sign an NDA.
Okay. All right. Does that slow it down? Does that ever slow it down? Are they pretty used to?
No, I honestly, if they're really interested in your product, yeah, they sign it usually no longer than 2 weeks.
Okay. Product liability, that's usually in a contract, right? I mean, if a company's going to sell at the major retailers, they have product liability.
Absolutely. I always want them to have that liability just in case. So, and that's off me because they're manufacturing it. So once it's out of my hands, it's out of my control. So yeah, I always have that in the contract.
Do you ask for your name to be on the policy or not?
No, I don't really. No, that doesn't bother me.
Doesn't bother you at all?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
I've got a good question here from Ralph.
Which, by the way, knock on wood, I haven't been, none of my products or myself have been sued. So
these questions are coming in fast and hard right now. Good for you guys. You guys keep those questions coming. Go ahead, Courtney.
We've got a good question from Ralph. His question is, what do you recommend for inventors working full-time in day jobs, but also are passionate about their products? How do you find time?
Yeah, it's hard. I was lucky enough that when I was starting out, I was working part-time actually as a travel agent, and I was able to do that. But yeah, full-time, I'm sure it's very difficult. But like I said, if you can, whatever industry you're in, if you can take a day or so and go to a show, I think you can accomplish more in a couple of days doing that than, being on the phone, and it's hard to be on the phone if you're working during the day. When do you do it? At lunchtime? So I would definitely recommend that. It's worth, taking a couple of days off to do that. It's just so beneficial.
I want to get to one technical question. I'm not a patent attorney, so this is not legal advice. Okay. Someone asks, and this is kind of a gray area, and I want to kind of talk about it. When you file a provisional patent application, if you disclose it publicly, you technically, you could lose rights in other countries. Okay, we know that. But in the United States, it's kind of a gray area. If you're trying to license it, like Amanda said, you're not offering it for sale, and that doesn't start that clock. So technically, you can refile. Now, usually you make improvements, you could refile. She's right, you lose a date. But here's what you want to do, you guys. If you question what you're doing, get a patent attorney to help you, to understand what you've done. If you really want to protect yourself, like she's done, have them sign an NDA, yay, and then you haven't publicly disclosed it, and you can file again, which she says. So we're not here giving legal advice. Please, everybody, realize that. So, but those are great questions. Ask your patent attorney or patent agent to help you with some of those difficult questions. Wow.
Great. We've got a couple other questions here. Let's just go ahead and run through these. Eric was asking, Amanda, do you have any particular tips for attending a trade show such as Super Zoo?
Well, pretty much I would do. Sorry, what's that?
Wear tennis shoes.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. I wear sneakers, and I don't care if anyone's looking at my feet. I guess I'm not doing a very good job selling my products. So yeah, that's key, because it is exhausting. I lose track of how many miles I think I've walked during shows. But yeah, so that's definitely one. Obviously, most of the shows in the pet industry are 3 days. The first 2 days are generally the best because everyone's there. By the third day, people are kind of leaving. A lot of the bigger the CEOs, the presidents of companies, they might be there in the morning of the third day, but they're usually gone end of the second day or early third day. Again, it's just also doing your homework and targeting the companies you feel are best suited to your product, and hopefully will take your product, that they are inventor friendly. And that way you can hit as many companies as you possibly can in those couple of days, because they're a lot. They're really a lot.
Here's a couple questions, and everybody asks this at times, and I tell everybody, everybody wants to know your batting average, right? And I want to tell everybody, if you're wondering about your success rate, I think you probably should do something else. Yeah, because
I try not to dwell on that.
I try to tell everybody, if you're trying to do the math to figure out what your chances are, this is probably not the right profession, because it's a hit and miss game. And
very much.
But it is a numbers game too. And I do know this: if you have a lot of ideas, knock on a lot of doors, do a lot of work, your chances are going to be far greater.
Absolutely.
But when someone asked me that, I'm like, Richard Levy, which is a good friend of mine, I'm glad you mentioned him. He said, Steve, I don't even know how much money I make. I don't even know what the checks look like. I do this because I love it. And if I didn't, I wouldn't be doing it even at my age today. And that's the one thing about this industry. Most people that are in it do it forever because they're passionate about it. So
right. Absolutely.
Great question, Joe.
You never run out of ideas, hopefully.
Someone asked about patent attorneys. If you send me a private message, I'll give you 2 recommendations of 2 guys, very affordable. You'll love them. I don't want to do it publicly, but if you send me an email, stevenkey@inventright.com, I'll give you a couple names there. Someone said, are you a full-time inventor?
Yes. I have been for 15 years now.
Okay.
So, but I spent, 10 years building up. I could definitely not afford to not have at least a part-time job.
There's
But
one last question here that I just love, but we can't answer it. Someone wants to know your 12 issues. Now, 12 issues with the licensing agreement. Now, licensing agreements, I want to tell everybody, they're all different, like they're like cars, right? And some things you can give, some things you don't want to give. They're all a little bit different. So there's no standard licensing agreement, is there?
I mean, I have mine, but somebody else, they might, like you said, do you care about being on the insurance policy? Well, maybe they'd want to be on the insurance policy. So everyone has, obviously, I'm sure everyone would like to get the highest percentage possible of royalties, but everyone has different priorities. I have my 12 that I just go through and make sure they're all there. I know this is kind of silly. Some people probably wouldn't care, but I like to have a list of all the the retailers that are buying my product, because I feel like an idiot if it's a small product like stretchies, that's in mom and pop stores and on, little online stores, and people ask me, well, what shops can I go to buy your stretchies? I'm like, I mean, if I said, I don't know, which I used to do in the beginning, and then I added that, I said, okay, I want a list. And hopefully when you get your sales report, will list all the companies and the quantities they buy. But there are some manufacturers that they do not do that in their sales report. They just show the numbers. So I make them send me a list of all the customers. I'm like, I don't care what the numbers are necessarily, but I want to know who's got my product.
Yeah, you have to make sure that's in a contract, that royalty agreement that comes in quarterly, most likely will spell that out. Some do, some don't, but I agree. I particularly like to know where they're selling, and it almost lets you police it yourself a little bit when you know what.
Exactly. Yeah.
I've got two quick questions here, and then we'll have to wrap up real quickly. Sean had a great question, and his question is, what trends are happening in the pet industry at the moment? And are you aware of what's happening right now?
Trends. And well, obviously, with food, I would say probably the two biggest, environment, sustainability, huge, environmentally friendly products. You're seeing more and more products made out of recycled materials. Definitely food, like healthy, should be almost like people food now. Minimum ingredients, no preservatives. So, yep, I would say healthier and environmental are the two biggest trends. But the thing is, so many people will say, especially on food, natural, and natural has been overused, because it's like, well, they're saying it's natural, but is that the sources are natural? So is the product really end up being, because some products they say no preservative, but there really are preservatives in. Like the initial a product where they sourced it from was all natural, but then when they repackage it, they're allowed to actually add preservatives, and it can still say all natural. So the whole natural thing is you got to be careful with that. But I just find they are going more minimal ingredients. For me, designing product, I actually do more of functionality and a look to it. I'm not an ingredient deck specialist by any means. So I did come up with one kitty treat that my cat, who's super finicky, absolutely loves, and it's 3 ingredients. So I am trying to license that. That's another one I'm working on. But yeah, I would definitely say for the pets, healthy and environmentally friendly.
Great. Okay, and then the last question we have here is, how do you find out if a company is inventor friendly? What do you do?
Well, pretty much at the shows, and that's I would say mostly how I meet new clients, potential licensees now. I go up to them and I speak with one of the heads, and they'll say, well, I'm really sorry, but we're not Inventor, we do all our in-house designing. We don't have any need for outside designer. It's like, okay, your loss.
Right.
So, but
Just
it's again,
ask.
it's
Just
not
ask.
worth wasting. It's not worth wasting time to keep pushing because I did do that in the past and it never got me anywhere. So, like, nope, I want to go on to people who, because there are many companies that are inventor friendly. So don't waste your time on the ones that aren't.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We're going to all go back to gallery mode. So I'm going to go ahead and unspotlight everyone. You guys can go ahead and click on gallery mode to see everyone. Of course, please go ahead and type in your thank yous to Amanda in the chat. We really love when we can send those over to our speaker. So go ahead and please do that. And with that in mind, to thank Amanda for speaking with us, I'm going to go ahead and unmute everyone. So everyone can give her just a quick 10-second round of applause for coming here, or a howl or a meow. And so
a bark.
That said, I'm going to go ahead and unmute everyone. You guys can go ahead and accept my unmute request, and we'll just do a little bit of clapping with everyone here. All right, here we go in 3, 2, hang on one second. All right, 3, 2, 1, go ahead.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thanks, Amanda.
Awesome.
Thank you, Amanda.
Amazing. So great.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Wonderful. All right, I'm going to bring up my speakers back here. You guys can go ahead and unmute yourselves, Stephen and Amanda. All right. Well, with that said, we'd love to do a family photo with our pets. So if everyone wants to go ahead and grab your pets, your fishbowl, alligator, definitely go ahead and stand by them if you can. And we're going to go ahead and take a group photo. We do have 144 people here right now. So we're going to go ahead and take, look at all of these pets. Holy cow. So many. Okay, let's give 1 second here. We're going to do a bunch of these. Everyone go ahead and smile. 1, 2, and 3. All right, we're going to go ahead and do this a couple times here.
Yay.
All right. There are a lot of you, so let's just keep rolling here. And I think we're almost, gosh, we've got 6 pages. I think we are good there. Yes, we are. Perfect. Whew. Thank you guys so much for bringing all of your pets. It's so wonderful to see all of your wonderful family members here. We really appreciate it for this extra special animal edition of our IGA Inventors Online meeting here. Of course, a reminder that the 15 pet companies that are looking for product ideas can be accessed on the website. Once again, you go ahead and log in, hover over the members tab, click Inventors Online, and scroll down to that list, which is right next to the 50 companies of toy and game companies that are looking for product ideas. So go ahead and feel free to download that and take that with you. Our next event is coming up already, so save the date for August 25th. And then, of course, while Stephen does give his final remarks, tonight we will be, per usual, sponsoring 5 of the inventor groups across the nation. So, Stephen, you can go ahead and talk about inventor groups and our meeting tonight.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. And I really want to thank Amanda for spending her time and sharing her experience. I think it's priceless, and I think it's going to get you in the game much faster. So, Amanda, thank you very much for doing that.
Very, very welcome.
I also want to say, find your local inventors group. It's very important that you support all the groups across the country. It's the best way to keep updated, meet fellow inventors, find people that are doing exactly what you want to do, and find your community. It's important. So join your local inventors group.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Stephen. And with that said, Amanda, do you have any final thoughts for our audience?
Yes, actually, I do. Anyone who buys any of my products that you've seen online today, if you could please give me a good review on Amazon or Chewy, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Amanda, for coming on. Fantastic meeting. A lot of questions answered. So we really appreciate you just spending the night with us and having a little conversation with our audience. So thank you so much for coming.
It was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you so much, audience, for coming.
See you at Super Zoo, Stephen.
I'll see you there. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everyone, for coming today. We hope to see you all in our next meeting so we can bring you more expert information in the areas you need help in. Thanks again, everyone, and have a wonderful
Thank you,
night.
Courtney.
Thank you, Amanda.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.